Greetings, my friends. Reformed Stoic here, back with another video. I'm gonna crack open my last Zevia cream soda. Basically, for most of the month, I'm giving up soda for Advent. Technically, it's already Advent, but when you stay up as late as I do, you do not count the hours that you're up after midnight as the next day. Okay. Anyway, this will be a little bit different than my last videos. I'm going to make something just kind of like back to basics. Maybe get some new eyes here. This is why I think I didn't do better with women. Why I think I failed with relationships. I'll think of the title after I make the video, but I think you get the gist of the topic. So, starting with the obvious, let's just start here. Let's just start here and just kind of work our way down, okay? So, I think I always had kind of a weird hairline. I hate to think about this, but my girlfriend, I did have one girlfriend for a few months in 8th grade. I actually broke up with her. She bleached my hair, and she left it in for way too long, and it like absolutely just decimated my hair. That might have made it a little bit worse. That definitely didn't help. I think I was already going to go bald anyway, but maybe that like set it off a little bit earlier. Like I already had a weird hairline. My mom said that I had cradle cap. They told her I had cradle cap when I was a baby. And she was supposed to like rub baby oil on my head or something. But I kind of get the idea she didn't do that. But anyway, so there's my hair, and then there's the fact that I'm short. So according to the black pill, like that's it. It's over. It's just because I'm short and bald, and that's the only reason. But I know that it's more than that, okay? Maybe if I figured these other things out, that still would have been a serious issue. But if you're watching this and you have struggled with women and you're alone, I'm 32, by the way. That's definitely going to be part of the title, Why I Failed with Women, and I'm 32, something like that. I would say that it's definitely more than one thing, guys. It's like you just checked too many boxes. And what people will point out, because you'll be bummed out and you'll be like, oh, women don't like me because I'm short. And they'll be like, oh, dude, I have a friend who's 5'2" and he slays. It's usually not 5'2". It's usually like 5'6" or 5'7". 5'2" is pretty rough, dude. Like, at that point, it's mandatory that you move to like India or Thailand or something. But anyway, I digress. If you tell your friends, women don't like me because I'm short, women don't like me because I'm bald, they'll talk about how they have friends who they can get women in spite of that. But it's usually one or the other. Once you got both going, it's like, I think I know a guy who's short and bald and does great with women. That's when it starts to get pretty rough. But they'll just say, shave your head, you know. I feel like at this point, I don't feel like either one of those things are an especially big deal, you know. I think my hat is cool. I'm probably going to get like a collection of hats. But even when I don't have my hat, you know, as long as my hair is shaved pretty low, I don't think that's that big of a deal. If I could choose between having hair or being taller, I would choose being taller. And not even like for women, just because, you know, let's face it, you know, UFC, boxing, it's got weight classes. I mean, yeah, you can be like a Bruce Lee and beat up a bigger guy, but the bigger guy is not going to have the fighting level that you have. Like, if you have two guys, equal fighting level, bigger guy's going to win. That's just reality. So me being kind of a mixed martial arts aficionado, armchair aficionado, because I'm not really like an athlete, but my dad was into karate and Jeet Kune Do and whatever. taught martial arts, so I've always kind of been into it. And yeah, I basically wish I was bigger. Like, that would help for women, but it would also help to just not have to take shit from anybody. So I would choose being taller. Now, being taller doesn't automatically make you bigger, but we're starting to get off topic. For the record, if you're like, you're 6 feet tall, and if you're like 6'2" or 6'4", but you're only 150 pounds or 160 pounds, and you don't know how to fight, step into my dojo. All right, let's just leave it at that. Okay, so why do I think I failed with women? Well, that's the opening 5-6 minutes, is that I'm short and bald, and I've riffed on that for a little bit. On top of that, I had a little bit of a rough start. I had a little bit of a messed up childhood. I spent a lot of time alone after school. I watched a lot of TV, played a lot of video games. There's definitely this dichotomy for 90s kids. And, you know, if you're born in like 85 or 95, whatever. I mean, if you're 95, you probably maybe still consider yourself a 90s kid. But people basically say you're a poser even if you're born in 1991, like me. Like, the true blue 90s kid would be born in 85. You were 5 years old in 1990. 10 years old in 95. So you can really digest the 90s. You got a PlayStation when you were like 10 or 11. Nintendo 64. But anyway, there's this dichotomy where it's like, you had a really cozy childhood. Best video games. Best cartoons. Oh my gosh, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Doug, Rugrats, Nintendo 64, video games. And then by the time you're like 12 or 13, you start to realize, like, wow, other kids were playing sports. Other kids were hanging out more and not watching as much TV. Or, like, I really wonder what some of these kids did when they were young. Like, you know, if they didn't play sports. I get the idea, where I grew up in Alaska, they were like working on their dad's boat or something. Their dad was like, here you go, kid, like, spray WD-40 in all these freaking crab cages and learn how to be a man, you know? Or like these kids who grew up to be like the rowdy guys who didn't really do sports and worked on boats. Like, I think they just like beat each other up in the woods or something. I have no idea, man. One of these guys who kind of grew up to be a Chad here, and he wasn't even like that bad of a guy. You know, I thought this was kind of a cool guy. Like, he could definitely have beat me up in high school, but he didn't really hold it over me that much. As far back as I can remember, he was always the same. He had this big, cocky smile on his face, and he would just take pleasure in just beating people up, dude, and just, like, being more of a man. I remember this slumber party in 2nd grade. This guy was my best friend in, like, 2nd or 3rd grade. And this guy at the slumber party was just like wrestling this guy, slamming him down over and over and over again until the guy threw up and started crying. So, point is like, I was like drinking sodas and eating candy and playing video games and watching movies and playing the computer, neglected a little bit. It's not like when my parents weren't around, I was like, oh my gosh, where's my mom? Every now and then that did happen, but a lot of time I didn't even freaking realize, because I was playing Mega Man X on the computer, or playing Donkey Kong 64, or Yoshi's Island, or watching Kenan and Kel or something, you know? That's kind of a weird memory, is like when it's starting to get late and then Nickelodeon is becoming like not cartoons anymore. It's like, oh, it's Kenan and Kel, it's gonna be Nick at Night soon, where's my parents? But I'm not saying that happened that often. Point is, we've been over this a lot. The regulars here already know all this, but this is a pretty good place to start if you're new here. I was a latchkey kid, 90s kid, nerd. I was just so damn small. And what's weird is, like, I think there was some girls who liked me in my younger years before I ever started working out or anything. Like, my hair was better the younger I was. I had like longer hair, I grew my hair out long. When I had a girlfriend in 8th grade, I had this like long hair. Eventually it was bleached and ruined, but first it was like black. I had this like long black hair, and I had some like cheap zip up sweater, but I bought all these like band pins. I had like bunch of emo and pop punk bands like Rufio, Census Fail, Finch, Taking Back Sunday, Thursday, early November. I had like all my favorite bands on pins. I'd buy clothes from like thrift stores, and I was kind of this like emo kid. Everybody knew I was a drummer. I kind of played in this like Nirvana cover band for a while, and that's when I had a girlfriend. And I hung out with the singer all the time and guitar player, and like we would both hang out together with our girlfriends and like watch movies and then like make out with our girlfriends. And so things started out like, you know, I had my first girlfriend in 8th grade. Pretty standard. Like, there was already guys who were hanging out with a bunch of different girls, and it was definitely starting slow for me. But when I got to high school, I would really say it was just shyness. More than anything, just being shy. I have this feeling that, like, on one hand, you need to have friends, but you need to set boundaries with your friends. I didn't have any boundaries. I always wanted to be out with my friends. And it's really beta, man. You got to think of that song, okay? No Scrubs by TLC. There's some real wisdom in those lyrics. It's like, it's like, from the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me. I ain't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy who can't get no love from me. Something, something, holler from the passenger side of his best friend's ride. So, the passenger side of his best friend's ride. She wants the guy who's driving, right? And it's weird because those lyrics hit me because I spent a lot of time in the passenger side of my best friend's ride. Like, I eventually had my own car. I had like a GMC Jimmy. That was my mom's old car. But I wasn't one of those guys who was really into his vehicle. You know, I probably would have had something cooler. Guys here would have, like, they called them like rice rockets, which is probably racist now. That's what everybody said. Everybody said that. White people, and that's just what people said. But yeah, Asians would drive them, and they were loud, and it was like a car. So if you had like a loud car, that was, I don't even know if you're allowed to say it, so I won't say it again. But literally everybody said that, and nobody said you were racist for saying that. So you had those, the loud Honda Civic, or you had a big lifted truck, and you're like, yeah, I love my truck, and all your pictures are with your truck, and all your pictures are with your car. And women loved that crap. Women loved that stuff. And me, I started getting high and getting drunk my junior year. I always wanted to be the guy who had a ride to the party and had a ride back, because I didn't want to deal with, like, if the cops showed up, I have to drive or something, which is kind of smart. I never got an MIP. I never got a DUI. But, yeah, girls are looking at the guy who rolls up in his truck, rolls up in his car, and he thinks he's all cool. You know, you got your ride at the parties. You're like, hey, you want to go for a drive? Hey, you want me to give you a ride home? Hey, you want to get out of here? Like, dude, having a car, having a vehicle. And, you know, I did take my vehicle to parties sometimes. Not that did much for me. There was definitely some times when I was making out with a girl at a party and I didn't have a vehicle, and I was like, hey, you want to walk to my house? Like, nah, that wasn't happening. So, you're probably getting the idea that I'm not like a full-on incel. Like, you know, I lost my virginity when I was 20 years old. We're not going to get into that story. So, I never got any in high school, but every now and then I'd like hook up, I guess, make out. One time a girl gave me a dry hand job and I didn't finish. That was terrible. That was just terrible. That wasn't great. I'm not really a hand job guy ever since then. But it was a combination of a lot of things, and then it shifted. There's like different seasons in my life, you know. I was like really short in middle school and before, but are you supposed to have girlfriends in elementary school? No. The screwed up thing about like public school life, and this could just create an entire different video, is like, if you're trying to grow up to be good with women, you probably should be having girlfriends and flings in middle school. But that's so messed up. And it's like, I feel like kind of a sicko sitting here like, hey guys, make sure you're hooking up in middle school. Like, that's really weird. But that was the reality, is that, you know, when I was that age, there was guys already getting lucky, and then they went on to be the Chads, you know? So it's like, in middle school I did have a girlfriend, and I had a lot of friends, and things were developing pretty organically to where probably like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, I should have been having girlfriends. I should have been starting to date and like figure it out. But freshman, sophomore year, just really shy, timid. I wasn't really like... Yeah, there was the girl that I went to the dance with and did the wrist control thing. I heard that she liked me. We sat next to each other at a movie once. What was it? The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and she kind of grabbed my arm when she was scared. There's a couple of times I was close, but no cigar. And then I feel like high school was divided in half for me, because then my junior and senior year is when I started to smoke weed and party, and that was like a completely different world. Then I was around all the party girls, and that's when you're like hoping you're gonna hook up with a girl at a party, but it just never worked out that way. And I can think of this one girl. She posted something on her story on MySpace. There's a little thing on the side where you can see people posting some bull crap on MySpace, and she filled out some sort of a survey, and it asked her about her current crush, and she's like, I'm into bald guys, or like bald guys are all the rage. She said something about bald guys, and that's right when I started shaving my head. And I knew she was talking about me. And I was just like, I don't know what I was just like, because I thought she was alright, dude. You know what it was, is there was a lot of pressure to try to go for the popular girls. Like, I had some weird status thing where I really wanted to get one of these like super popular girls, and you know, I wanted to get more of a Stacy, and this girl was more of a Becky. But she was a Becky with like a nice butt, dude, and she wasn't like fat or anything, and she actually grew up to be really pretty. The thing is she was pretty much always really pretty. She was one of those kind of wallflower girls who was just a little bit more unnoticed in high school. Bro, that's the story of your 20s. The story of your 20s and mid-20s is like, these girls start showing off on Facebook and Instagram, and you're like, wow. She was basically hotter than some of the popular girls, and just nobody really recognized it, you know? So it's just kind of like an odds thing. It's like a numbers game, you know? And being short and bald made it like way less girls liked me. So you have to be more outgoing. It's like the more short and bald you are, the more outgoing you have to be to make up for it. The more confident, the more slick, the more numbers game. And I just was blowing it, dude. I was going for the wrong girls. I was too hesitant. I was short, bald. We already been over that. But timid, shy, didn't pull the trigger. In my head. Weed really like put me inward. Kind of with fighting too. There was guys that like I could beat up, but they'd take advantage when I was high. Like this one little wrestler dude. One time, one of the times I beat him, he threw a burger at my car, and it was just all instinct, because he was actually in wrestling. And I think about how bad he beat me when I was all high in my room. That's part of the reason he beat me in my room, because before that happened, he threw the burger at my car, and I just freaking like... And, you know, he's kind of trying to, like, set up to do his little wrestling crap, but I just freaking grabbed his shirt, and I'm, like, getting this momentum. It's like, oh, a little bit to this side, a little bit to the... And then eventually I just, like, threw him to the ground, dude, and got on top of him. And I just ran right through him. But then when we're high in my bedroom, I'm all, like really high, like, and he's like, you know what, dude? I'm just going to take these stems. I was like, what? No, dude. And I don't even care about weed stems. Like, that's such high school stuff. To be like, no, dude, those are my stems. So we start kind of like tying up in my room, and I've done the guillotine on people a lot. So I got him in like a guillotine, and I'm just thinking like, oh, dude, this guy's about to tap out. But it wasn't going well, dude, because anybody who wrestles knows, if somebody has your head, the best thing to do is just go for a double or a single, and he freaking like grabs my legs and starts slamming me up against my door. like douche, douche, douche. I'm like, oh wow, this isn't really going very well. And then he freaking picks me up in a double leg and slams me and then runs over and chokes me out, dude. Like, he got me really good one time in my room. But me and him and everybody all know that, like, that was a fluke. And it's because I was really high, so. We almost fought at a party once. He was all cocky after that, and we were going to fight at this party, and we were in the garage. I was like, hey, let's go outside. And when it really came down to it, I was like, all right, dude, let's go outside. You ready? And he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, he knew. Like, he didn't really want to do it. But, a lot of side tangents on our trip down memory lane. So that's pretty much high school. Is like, I think it should have happened for me. I feel like it just really should have happened in high school. I feel it's like, you know, run it back again, even without me having the knowledge. Like, just run it back. Just start me back in high school without any memory that I can use to my advantage, and just let it play out organically from that point. And I think, like, maybe the next run through I could have done better. You know, like, run it through 3 times instead of running it through 1 time, like real life. And I probably would have figured it out in the other times. Like, I feel like I just kind of got unlucky. But being Chad is like, you might be shy in your Chad and you had the bad upbringing and stuff, but women just throw themselves at you and they're going to make it easy for you. And for me, it's like, women did not make it easy for me. There was a couple of women that I could have got, but I did not do it right. I had to do everything right. And one of the things that's really disturbed me about women is, I remember, like, the girl from the movie theater, the wrist control dance girl, she really liked me. Like, I was her crush. And realizing how just a little thing that you do or a little mistake can drastically change their opinion of you. Like, they're into you 1 second and then they're just not. Fickle. They're very fickle. And being a guy, I wasn't like that. Because obviously men and women are wired differently. Like, the girls that I had a crush on, man, she could just blow it over and over and over again. She could have an annoying laugh. She could say weird things. And I was just into them. And I definitely saw how, like, it's not just the way you look with women. You have to... They build up this picture of you in their head, and if you don't live up to it, they're gonna shift gears very quick. So then there's college. I'd say my 20s were also divided into half, to where the first half of your 20s, if you go to college, and then, you know, 18 and 19 at college as well, is like, I was on the East Coast, and everybody was rich and old money, and I was very not well adjusted. I was so not well adjusted, man. Like, what I can say about, like, East Coast college kids going to good East Coast schools, a lot of them, like, Ivy League, like freaking Harvard, well-dressed, well-adjusted, they were going to private schools, they were having girlfriends and experiences and, like, growing up to be well adjusted, while I was like a latchkey kid and blowing it. And, like, I mean, these little things like Rice Rocket, and there's worse. There's this stuff from my town where people said kind of like racist stuff, but everybody did. And I had Asian friends and Native friends, and it's funny how, like, racially naive everybody was here, man. I mean, there was some real aggressive racism, but even that, nobody was getting, like, screenshotted and, like, virtue signaling, virtue warrior, social justice warrior. That just didn't happen, bro. Guys were doing cocaine and were like, hey, man, if it ain't white, it ain't right. And jumping on the bench in the foyer in high school, yelling when Obama won to be president, and everybody just laughed, and things were just different. And that SJW stuff in, like, 2009, 2010, 2011, 12, 13, when I was in Boston, that was starting. Like, that was going on, and I would say something, and people would look at me like, and I was like, oh, wow, like, I'm so sorry. This is what everybody said in my town. And they're like, what kind of a town did you grow up in? And I just was not, I had to have so many of the bad habits from growing up here demolished. And, like, my character and who I was in the process of just being recreated. Because the way of life in Boston at these good schools just completely kind of demolished all the bad habits of who I used to be. And that process pretty much lasted the entire time I was there. I mean, when I was playing shows with my band, we opened at the House of Blues once, and I got to meet, like, animals as leaders, and after the burial and Sean, I think I was wearing sweatpants, and my hair was all long and gross. I practically had, like, a skullet, and I looked like a freaking, like, dirty douchebag, dude. And I think about how, like, people were kind of giving me dirty looks, but it's like, dude, your band is opening the show at the House of Blues, and, like, you should probably wear some slacks. And, like, I just was dressed like an idiot, and my hair looked like shit, and it just kind of took me a while to just get the picture, bro. And I mean, that element was also going for me in Kodiak, but I was starting to, like, struggle financially. Like, you know, I dropped out of music school. I had to keep, like, coming back to my hometown and try to make money and then take it back there. And I would start, like, losing clothes. I wouldn't buy as many clothes. Money was starting to get tight, so I wasn't really thinking about my image as much. Like, when I first went to college, my freaking mom took me shopping, and I bought a bunch of, like, nice button-ups and stuff, and I was putting gel in my hair, and, like, I was really trying for a while. I was trying to have these flings when I'd come back home, and it usually wouldn't work out. And sometimes why it wouldn't work out would be because I didn't live here. These girls would be telling me, if you lived here, it would be different, and it would be like freaking 10 out of 10s, dude. I went for this 10 out of 10 blonde chick, and I was blowing it. But she was also saying, like, if you lived here, it would be different. And she just didn't want to, like, give it up to some guy. Like, I was making her feel like a slut, basically. Because it's just like, oh, my gosh, I'm trying to, like, get this girl in bed. And I was clueless, dude. I didn't know what I was doing. It was borderline creepy. Like, I'm glad I wasn't more pushy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you're blowing it, and they're just like, oh, maybe I can just try a little bit harder. Like, that sounds really creepy. But anyway, I wasn't like that. I'm just saying, sometimes that kind of behavior can probably come from being an idiot, and you're just like, this girl's so hot and I don't know what to do, and just get away from me. Anyway, so then 2013 was kind of my year. Like, I hooked up with this girl the summer of 2013, and I hooked up with a girl the winter of 2013, both here. But that ended negative both times because I was visiting, I didn't live here. They'd always tell me, it seems like all you wanted was sex. And it's not true. Like, I wanted them to be my girlfriend, but I didn't know anything about girls. I hadn't been getting any experience. I was always in the state of wanting. And, you know, winter of 2013, that's the last time I was here before I moved back here in 2021. 2014, I moved to Vegas. And I just never started, man. I never started. I met this chick off the street once who said I had pretty blue eyes. We hooked up a couple times. I got hit it a couple of times. And so I got my cat, Rug, from, who's sitting right behind you, cleaning herself. But after that, that was in 2015. Nothing, bro. 2016, I was all locked up in the house, thinking I was going to be a rapper. I got a stripper's number when I went to a strip club one night, but she was saying, like, oh, I got some instrumental tracks and we can make a song together, because I told her I was a rapper. And I was like, and I listened to her singing and I was thinking, bitch, you don't have any talent. Like, I'm not going to rap on your tracks. I thought I was going to be a rapper. So I didn't want to hang out with this girl because it's like, I'll never make, you think you're good enough to make music with me? And it's like, dude, make a stupid song with this freaking stripper and use it. to get some. But I was in such a stupid place in 2016. 2017, eventually I decided to go to UNLV, and I was thinking, I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm better looking. This is it. I'm gonna go to UNLV, and I'm gonna freaking slay a bunch of hot girls. And it didn't work out like that. And I think it's because I didn't do anything social. I kept trying to cold approach in the hallway. I tried to awkwardly like meet women from my classes, and it was just not happening. And part of it is I kind of felt old. I was 25 or 26. Yeah, I would be like 25 turning 26. And these girls would be like 18 and 19. And I don't know, dude. I guess I was telling people, like, if you look younger, tell women you're few years younger than you are. I mean, that sounds messed up, but it's hard out there, dude. People try to give you that whole spiel, like, oh, age doesn't matter. Women love guys who are 10 years older. I can just tell you my experience is that at a school like UNLV, a lot of women were coming straight from high school to college, and they're there with a bunch of their friends and their peers. An 18 or 19-year-old chick who's surrounded by 18 and 19-year-old friends, they are going to have this naive kind of idea about a 25 or 26-year-old guy. They're going to say, that's an older guy, you know? And it doesn't mean it can't happen, but I didn't really know how to make it happen. I told this girl I was 25, and she said she's 19, and there's an awkward silence. She's like, oh, wow, that's a big difference. But maybe it didn't matter. I don't know. I didn't know how to handle it, so... yeah, UNLV sucked. And then after that, I pretty much sat around for a year, and then COVID happened, and then all the craziness happened in my life, and then that was the last 3 years, and now we're here. So, I don't think I'm an incel. I think I ran into a lot of bad luck. And then the last thing I wanted to say is the second half of my 20s was about, like, money and career, okay? Women always like looks, okay? It probably means the most in high school and early college. But then it's like they need a guy who has a certain looks threshold, who has a certain money, status, and career threshold. And so by the time... So my life was like, but you're not good looking enough, and you're shy, and oh, and now you don't have any money, and like, I just fumbled the ball, like, at every single stage, and I'm at that point where I kind of want to blame my childhood, and my upbringing, and public school, and wrong place, wrong time. I feel like if I ran high school back 3 times, two out of the 3 times, I would have made it. I would have got some girlfriends. I would have had, like, a high school sweetheart. College, I feel like maybe you run that back 10 times, and maybe like 3 or 4 times it works. College was really awkward, man. Everybody was rich and happy and good looking and smart and talented, and I was talented, but man, like, it just, you meet all these shiny, happy people who you just think are just like better than you, and like maybe they are, and wasn't happening. And it took me a while to make my friend circle, and when I did make my friend circle, it was all the metal chuds, and there's not a lot of women around, dude. Guys are telling me, yeah, you pretty much wait for like a guy to break up with his girlfriend because you need to find a metal girl, and there's like one metal girl for every 10 to 15 metal guys, and they freaking hop around between all the guys. So I think wrong place, wrong time. Being shy, oh my gosh, you guys, try to get over being shy, bro. But at the same time, what does that usually look like? Gesture maxing. Because if you're not Chad, it's like you're shy because your body knows that you're not Chad. And it's like, warning, if you make a bunch of noise and bring attention to yourself, it'll be like, hey, little loser, you want me to, like, kick your ass? And, like, women laugh at you. And so social anxiety comes from, like, not being Chad and your freaking body chemistry realizing that. But, yeah, you know, people kind of liked me in high school, dude, and I didn't really play it right. And then that not having boundaries with your friends, like, you know, when your friends get used to just thinking they can get you to do whatever they want, That's when the narcissist psychopath stuff starts happening, especially if you got some talent, or they kind of like make a plot against you, like, oh, I don't want him to know how talented he is, I don't want him to get all high and mighty and confident and start like getting a bunch of girlfriends, so I want him to think that like he's too ugly to get girls. And you gotta have boundaries, dude. Like, have friends, but it's like, hey dude, we're gonna go throw rocks behind the dumpster. Like, that sounds lame, dude. I'm just gonna watch freaking Conan O'Brien and like eat pizza by myself because I love my room and I love my life and I respect myself. And me alone watching Conan O'Brien is better than hanging out with you and throwing rocks at the dumpster. But they're still your friends. Like, you just teach them, dude. I was very kind of aware that like the more popular guys were not afraid to just hang out by themselves because they were the more valuable people. The low value guys are the ones who always have to be out mobbing in this little group. You know, like, if there's no party, if there's no awesome party, then Chad's like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna stay home and watch movies. But the betas are like, oh man, let's hang out and drink cough syrup and like walk around, you know, because they can't be by themselves because they hate themselves. So yeah, what does it look like? Now it kind of looks like I don't like the incel word. Now it looks like I'm just like, oh dude, it's over, you're short and bald, you're coping, this is all cope. I don't think so, man. I think I fumbled the ball. I think if I picked a better path in life than music, I could have been the career guy eventually, which, you know, beta bucks, but I think I have enough personality and I got in shape and like, I think I probably could have figured it out, dude, but I needed to be more well-adjusted. I needed to be more confident, have better boundaries, not be this manipulated guy who was probably groomed by narcs to get narked on. I needed to have like a smart career path. I feel like if I would have been religious, that would have completely changed my entire life. And so here I am, 32. I've been laid like 6 to 8. I think the 6. I've been laid like 6 times that I didn't allegedly have to pay for. And then that's all that matters, because, yeah, we'll just say 6 women chose to sleep with me without money. Yeah, so. So that's pretty much it. It's been really fun sharing the story with you guys. How long did that take? Oh, wow, 37 minutes. So, yeah, my advice, especially, I'm always trying to talk to the younger guys. If you're, like, in middle school or high school, gauge the situation. Like, what's going on? Are you going to a party? Or is it like 3 dudes? Is it a sausage fest? Think about like the beginning of the movie Dazed and Confused, where it's like, oh man, this middle school dance sucks. Like, they leave the middle school dance because there's nothing there. They're looking for the good time. You got to start getting that mindset where it's like, it ain't worth my time unless there's something really going down. Now, that's kind of a toxic mindset in itself, because I recommend that you don't even really party at all. I mean, really go to church and get good grades, and that's where it gets kind of conflicted. It's like, do you want to go to church and get good grades and like be a well-adjusted kid, or do you want me to teach you how to like go freaking win socially with all these like narcissist psychopaths who party in the woods and try to like sleep with women in high school? I mean, it's ultimately up to you, bro. I think everybody gets hurt in one way or another, probably in ways that I don't even understand, because I got hurt by just losing and spending time alone and not getting women. But basically, man, you gotta value yourself. I was insecure and shy, and yeah, your looks is what's going to give you more opportunities. But if you don't cash in on the opportunities, I mean, there's Chad-looking guys out there who are autistic, and you can see it in their face, and you can see it how they act, and they can't get women, okay? So, and then, yeah, maybe now things have gotten a lot worse, and then maybe now it's just over. But what I do know is before things were the way they are now, there were some women out there who liked me, and I didn't pull the trigger, or I started going for them and I had like tics and just nervous tics and beta energy that kind of blew it. And yeah, I'm 32. I think now if I was going for women who were 32 or 31 or 30 or 29, that's probably the game for me now. And I have this weird thing where it's like, man, I really want to date like a 24-year-old. And maybe that sounds weird, but it's like, why? Because I just don't really like women my own age. I have it in my head where it's like, nah, you didn't want me, and you've been with a lot of guys. To me, in my mind, and I will admit that this is kind of weird to say. Hopefully this is a good camera angle, by the way. I don't know why I'm holding the camera like this, but in my mind, me getting in a serious relationship with a 30-year-old is like, I'm beta bucks. I'm the beta nice guy that you settled with, and that just doesn't sit right with me. I'm kind of like trying to make up for I've never had the girl who I just fell head over heels in love with, and in my mind, she's like 26 or 25. I mean, more than anything, she's drop dead gorgeous, sweet, pretty, submissive, nice. My dream girl. I want to see this girl and hear freaking music and be like, oh, wow, I didn't waste my life. Like, oh, wow, it all led to this freaking drop dead gorgeous girl, and she wants me and I want her. And yeah, girls can look like that when they're 30. I mean, sure, but it just is what it is, girls. Like, I would have married a girl who was my own age if I was in high school. And if anything, what I've seen is like, okay, wow. Now I've seen guys who they were attractive, they married an attractive girl, and now they're like 35 or 40. It's like, oh wow, now he really mogs the girl that he's with because she started to age. And like, I'm 32. I'm pretty much in the best shape of my life. I mean, I'm gonna get in the best shape of my life. That's kind of what I'm working towards, but I'm more of a man than I've ever been. Like, I've been aging like fine wine over here, and I just keep getting better. And it's like, I'm trying to get a girl that knocks my freaking socks off, that makes me think, hey, this is the prime of my life. Like, I'm the best I've ever been, and I'm with the best girl that I'm ever going to be with. And hopefully, we're going to be together forever. So, I don't know if that makes me sound like really, really creepy, but, you know, 25, 26, smoking hot, loves Jesus, laughs at my jokes, doesn't like obsess over social media and take booty pics and like try to go like to clubs and stuff and make me feel like a cuck. Just smoking hot, nice, sweet, submissive, and all mine, and loves the crap out of me. That's what I want, and I'd like to think that I deserve that. So maybe I'm freaking crazy. I don't know. That's what it is. I don't think I'm an incel. I don't really think that I'm that bad of a guy, bro. I think I blew it over and over again for years. Unironically. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. Like, subscribe, comment.